Hi, everyone. This is Craig with Kaiut Yoga Boulder here with a dear student of ours, Sherrie. And we wanted to start bringing back some of these interviews and talks with our students just to share with the community. So, Sherrie, thanks for being here with us. Hello, how are you?
Great. And you?
I'm doing great. Um, so, I think Sherrie's been a student of ours since I looked it up since February 5th this year. So fairly new to the practice. And so I wanted to sort of have Sherrie share a little bit about her background, and then we can get on to sort of the progression that's happened since then. So Sherrie, would you mind just kind of giving a little bit of update on your background and how you found this practice?
Well, start with my age. I'm going to be 77, so I've been doing athletics and competitive athletics since I was a kid, and I'm still doing some. And obviously, in that time frame, I've had a lot of injuries. I've broken 11 bones, five ribs are in there, but some pretty serious breaks. And so therefore, every time you break a bone, you have buildup of arthritis, joint problems, inflammation. And I just have suffered a lot through the years with good physical therapy, bad physical therapy. My daughter always wanted to get me to do yoga. I really didn't like yoga. I went to some hot yoga or whatever it's called class. Went to other types, still didn't like it. So I stayed away from it. Tried Pilates, tried you name it, personal trainers. I was a personal trainer for years. And nothing really did it. And I have a dear friend, Kate, who introduced me to Kaiut and didn't realize it was already back in February. But it was from the very first class. It was amazing.
Nice. So could you describe sort of the first, say, couple of weeks of practicing, maybe how you came into it, maybe feeling reluctant because of your previous experience, and how did things shift over the first, say, few weeks or month?
Um, I I don't think I've ever been reluctant about trying anything. So
Hmm.
I was really excited to try it. And Kate had given it such a great review that I thought, yeah, it sounds something I might like to do. It's like something I might like to do. And so it was just, for lack of a better phrase, it was a slow motion version of what exercise for rehabilitation should be.
Hmm.
And I learned that from the very first class. It was the first time I walked out of any class or any PT that I felt incredibly good. And I didn't have any problems that night or the next morning in soreness or pain. And that was a first. So I was hooked. I had never experienced anything quite like it, to be honest. And I had you as a teacher, and you were incredible. And I just thought, wow, this is a great fix for me and a great match for me. So let's see what happens.
So outside of, you know, the direct sort of um, the direct, like, physical sensations and stuff, how would you say the practice has influenced your life?
Well, I'm a very horribly bad meditator. I've tried
Hmm.
many ways to meditate, and I'm a pretty high strung person, so it's very hard for me to get into that mindset. And I somehow was able, that was the first thing I noticed, was the fact that I was able to take a few seconds here and there and just get into like what you were saying, what we were doing, what I was feeling. And that was a first. And then it just, about 3 or 4 nights later, was the first night that I slept through the night, that I didn't get up in the middle of the night. And it was just kind of a miracle for me. And then I also have a pretty bad torn rotator cuff right now. And I noticed after about 2 weeks, and I was going 3-4 times a week, mostly 4 times a week then. I noticed for the very first time in 3 years, I was able to sleep on my right side. My rotator cuff's on the right, and I couldn't sleep on that side without pain. And I think I came in and told you that morning, I could not believe that I slept on my right side.
Mm-hmm.
So big steps in a very short time. And for a person that's gone through as much as I have with injury, rehabilitation, suffering, pain, you name it, I think I can safely say that it's the best thing I've ever done.
That says a lot.
Not trying to blow your horn here. It's
Yeah.
just true. It's just true.
Yeah, it works. The method works. So
Yeah.
I think with a certain type of mindset that you had, and the willingness to sort of allow the method and your teachers and myself to have the work happen for you, made that result so much more clear, faster. So thank you for listening to me as your teacher in class. And since you are, athletic type, and those athletic types, they tend to push their bodies too much, and sometimes it's
To the
hard.
max, to the max.
Yeah, and it's hard to sort of slow down and being okay with where you're at this point in time. So that's a big part of the practice as well. And the sooner I think we can rely on the fact that we know where we're at, or at least have a fairly good understanding of that, the more the practice can evolve in ourselves. So I'm curious, you did join us for the online class, actually just a couple hours ago. Took a class. I'm curious of your experience so far moving into the online classes. And I know you did take a short break in between the regular classes and the online classes. Perhaps you can spend a moment just talking about that time you didn't practice and getting into the online classes and how that's been.
That's a good question, because most all the things I've tried over many years, I found that if it was helping me, no matter what it was, when I stopped, pretty quick things returned. The pain returned, the discomfort, the exhaustion, things like that. So when these things started to happen, and then all this pandemic thing came up, I wasn't sure what was a smart thing to do. That's before you started the online classes. And I did take some time, and I noticed that a couple little things happened, but nothing like it normally would in my previous experiences. So that was amazing. And I just knew that it's something I had to keep doing no matter what. So I'm so glad you did the online classes. And another thing I learned from the online classes was, when you do any modality like this, there may be one good instructor and 4 bad ones and 2 okay ones. And what I found here is having Kristen and Darvin as well, because you take turns, which I think is great. They are equally good. So you've all been trained well, obviously, and you don't see that often in many of these practices. You just don't. So I was thrilled to see that, and getting back to it again is putting me back to where I was. And I didn't have far to go. Like I said, when I stopped doing it for a little while, I didn't see the return gangbusters like I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty excited. It's kind of saved my life.
Oh, that's so good to hear. So glad you found us. Is there anything else you want to add before we end the call regarding the practice, or anything that you've observed?
I'm going to talk to athletes here, because I was also a professional athlete for 2 years back in my 20s. And people like us, are impatient. We do everything at warp speed. Um, we tend to, and I say we because I know a lot of them, and I think we tend to be, I'm an adrenaline junkie, plain and simple. So a lot of people that are like me are, and so they get into something like this, and maybe they'll try it for the first couple times and think, oh, this is slow motion. And that is exactly what people like us need. So I just want to say that if you are an athlete out there and you see this, know that it's an adjustment, but it'll be the best adjustment you ever made to your speed thing, and that's in all aspects of athletics. So
Mhm. Well, Sherry, thank you so much for spending some time with us,
thanks
and
for having me.
we'll look forward to having you in class
Tomorrow.
tomorrow. And all of you at home, if you're interested in the work, please reach out to us and share with family and friends. We'll be doing the online program as long as we need to help support our community. So thank you all. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time. Thanks.